chicken. Butter chicken and rice. Yeah, no, but they want to bring naan. Yeah, no. They only ordered butter chicken and rice, bagara rice.
Yeah, but you need naan. You need some curry. You need some show butter.
Yeah, sure. There is. Butter chicken is gravy. Butter chicken is gravy.
Oh, okay, that's okay.
Yeah, so people can eat with naan.
Yeah.
But I don't think when naan, then chawal will be less.
Yeah.
कैसे ठीक है कौन बेटा मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद बाज़ बुलंद सलवात मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद दिल फरजम रहमान का फुल साइड दो चिल्ला एंड देन स्टार्ट रहमान को बात खींच के पर थोड़ा सा दो चार लाइन ऐसा पढ़ के अच्छे सही बात अंदर यूज है पढ़ना चाहिए ना अभी तो पढ़ना चाहिए जबान के दो दिन this is the way this is how you develop no because my wife and Ali bhai sabko bulaya they were all here because we had a dawat at
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
मैं पहले इधर आया
Okay, no, thank you.
no थोड़ा क्या कि दुनिया में बहुत सारा कॉन्फ्लिक्ट यहाँ जाना उधर जाना फातिमा बच्चों को इधर बोल रहा है आप इधर आ जाओ मैं पहले जाता हूँ इधर बैठता हूँ फिर बाद में जाता हूँ फिर वो लोग आए देना ही लगता है
No, thank you so much.
मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद बाज़ बुलंद सलवात अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يرسل عليكما شواظ من نار ونحاس فلا تنتصران فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فإذا انشقت السماء فكانت وردة كالدهان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيومئذ لا يسأل عن ذنبه إنس ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يعرف المجرمون بسيماهم فيؤخذ بالنواصي والأقدام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد ما شاء الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بالثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كما أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين. وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين. وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون. ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون. قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون. فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون. إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم. وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون. هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون. ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون. ومن نعمره ننكس في الخلق أفلا يعقلون. وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين. أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون. واتخذوا من دونه الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون. أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين. وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Please recite Surah Fatiha for all marhumin, specifically the following: Siraj Hamid Ali Mirza, Abida Gulbanu Haider Mirza, Kaniz Abid Mahmoud Mirza, Zulfiqar Khan, Zahra Khan, Ali Mazhar Mirza, Sayyid Abbas Hussain. Bismillah.
نہیں سلام علیکم پر محمد و آل محمد بآواز بلند صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
علی کو نفس رسالت معاب کہتے ہیں. علی کو نفس رسالت معاب کہتے ہیں. خدا کی بولنے والی کتاب کہتے ہیں. خدا کی بولنے والی کتاب کہتے ہیں. خدا کے گھر سے ملا جانشی محمد کو. خدا کے گھر سے ملا جانشی محمد کو. اس انتخاب کو بس انتخاب کہتے ہیں. اس انتخاب کو بس انتخاب کہتے ہیں. رہینے منتیں پیری نہ ہو سکے اکبر. رہینے منتیں پیری نہ ہو سکے اکبر. قسم خدا کی اسی کو شباب کہتے ہیں. قسم خدا کی اسی کو شباب کہتے ہیں. سوال آب پر اصغر نے تیر کھایا ہے. سوال آب پر اصغر نے تیر کھایا ہے. جہاں میں اس کو انوکھا جواب کہتے ہیں. جہاں میں اس کو انوکھا جواب کہتے ہیں. نبی کی آل کو دربار عام میں لائے. نبی کی آل کو دربار عام میں لائے. اسی
کو اہل جہاں انقلاب کہتے ہیں، اسی کو اہل جہاں انقلاب کہتے ہیں، اسی کو اہل جہاں انقلاب کہتے ہیں۔ عذاب قبر غلام علی کو اے عابد، عذاب قبر غلام علی کو اے عابد، کہ جس کو ختم نبی بو تراب کہتے ہیں، کہ جس کو ختم نبی بو تراب کہتے ہیں، خدا کی بولنے والی کتاب کہتے ہیں، علی کو ذکر صلوات محمد وعلیہ۔ کوئی پڑھنا چاہے تو آ جائیے، نہیں تو پھر مرثیہ پڑھیں گے۔ مرثیہ میں کوئی پڑھنے آئے؟ ہاں پڑھنا چاہے آ جاؤ۔ محمد وآل محمد واعظ بلند صلوات۔
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد۔
ذکر غم حسین سے محفل سجی رہی، گل ہو گیا چراغ مگر روشنی، گل ہو گیا چراغ مگر روشنی، اکبر کے بعد زیست میں کیا دلکشی رہی، لیلا تمام عمر یہی سوچتی، لیلا تمام عمر یہی سوچتی، خیمے فرات سے تو ہٹائے گئے مگر عباس نامدار کی تیوری، عباس نامدار کی تیوری، بلوے میں بے ردا سرے زینب کو دیکھ کر اللہ جانے کیسے قیامت رکی، اللہ جانے کیسے قیامت، اشک غم حسین کا ٹوٹا نہ سلسلہ، رومال فاطمہ میں ہمیشہ نمی، رومال فاطمہ میں ہمیشہ نمی رہی، ذکر غم حسین۔ فاتحہ۔ آج پریشاں ہوئی مولا کی جماعت رن میں ہر نمازی کو پسند آئی، اقامت رن میں قبلہ دین کیا قصد، عبادت رن میں شکل میرا بنی تیرے، شکل میرا بنی تیرے، شہادت رن میں غل ہوا اس کو امام دو جہاں کہتے ہیں، تیغوں کے سائے میں شبیر، تیغوں کے سائے میں شبیر ازا کہتے ہیں، قدرت حق سے دریچے ہوئے فردوس کے دفتن کھل گئے درہائے، فلک سرتاپا ایک بیک اٹھ گئے، سب پردے عرش اعلیٰ، انبیاء و ملکوت کو، انبیاء و ملکوت کو پہنچی یہ ندا، قدرداں اس کا میں ہوں میرا شناسا ہے یہ، کیوں نہ ہو میرے محمد کا، کیوں نہ ہو میرے محمد کا نواسا ہے یہ وہ طاعت ہے کہ تنہائی ادا کرتے ہیں، میرے عاشق تہے شمشیر رہا کرتے ہیں، سر قلم ہوتا ہے وہ شکر خدا کرتے ہیں، صادق الوعدہ یوں ہی وعدہ، صادق الوعدہ یوں ہی وعدہ وفا کرتے ہیں، ہم نماز اس کے جنازے کی جو پڑھوائیں گے، تم بھی جانا کہ رسولان، تم بھی جانا کہ رسولان سلف جائیں گے، ساکن عرش بری کرنے لگے نالوا، شاہ تکبیر یہاں کہہ چکے اللہ اللہ، اور اقامت میں ہوئے صرف شہیالی جا، جان واحد پہ گرے آن کے، جاہد واحد پہ گرے آن کے، لاکھوں بد سورہ حمد نبی زیادہ پڑھا جاتا ہے، شمر خنجر لیے سینے پر، شمر خنجر لیے سینے پر چڑھا جاتا ہے، نیم بس ملنے زباں سے جو کہا بسم اللہ، نیزہ مارا ابو ایوب نے لب پر ناگا در سے سیدانیہ، چلائی کہ انا للہ، ہائے یہ ظلم نمازی پر، ہائے یہ ظلم نمازی پر، عیاذاً بالواجب القتل کو ہے آب و غذا کی مہلت، جان زہرا کو ندی فرض، جان زہرا کو ندی فرض خدا کی مہلت، زینت عرش بری خاک پر افتادہ ہے، نہ بچھونا ہے نہ مسند ہے نہ سجادہ ہے، شمر خنجر لیے بالین پچھتاتا ہے، کوئی اتنا نہیں کہتا، کوئی اتنا نہیں کہتا کہ نبی زادہ ہے۔ قصد سجدے کا ادھر قبلہ دی کرتا ہے، نیت زبا ادھر شمرے، نیت زبا ادھر شمرے لئی کرتا ہے۔ خنجر ظلم کو چمکا کے پکارا دشمن، بوسہ گاہ نبوی کاٹوں میں اب یا گردن، بولے شے جس میں تو راضی ہو نہیں جائے سخن، حلق یہ حلق نبی ہے، یہ حلق یہ حلق نبی ہے، یہ بدن ان کا بدن، دیکھ سر ننگے ہر ایک حور جناتی ہے، ابھی تو ذبح نہ کرنا میری، ابھی تو ذبح نہ کرنا میری ماں آتی ہے۔ ناگہاں یہ آواز کے اماں صدقے میرے ماں باپ فدا، میں تیرے قرباں صدقے، کون کون آج ہوا تجھ پہ میری جان صدقے، شیر کتنے ہوئے کتنے ہوئے، شیر کتنے ہوئے کتنے ہوئے نادان صدقے، قتل گاہ کو ابھی جنت سے جو میں آتی تھی، حور ایک ننھے سے لاشے کو، حور ایک ننھے سے لاشے کو لیے جاتی تھی، قافلہ لٹ گیا ماں میرا لشکر نہ رہا، جد امجد کی نشانی علی اکبر نہ رہا، رہ گیا درد کمر ہائے برادر نہ رہا، اب خبر آپ نے لیا، اب خبر آپ نے لیا کہ جب گھر نہ رہا، گفتگو مادر و فرزند میں ہوتی تھی، روتی تھی فاطمہ مشتاق شہادت تھے شاہ، آستی غصے سے قاتل نے چڑھائی ناگا، خیر جلاد پہ کی شان، خیر جلاد پہ کی شان، حسرت سے نگاہ، شمر نے پوچھا تمہیں عذر کوئی اب تو نہیں، بولے شاید دیکھ لے دروازے، بولے شاید دیکھ لے دروازے پر زینب تو نہیں، وہ پکارا نظر آتی نہیں در پر زینب، پیٹتی پھرتی ہے خیمے میں کھلے سر زینب، گر سراچوں سے چلے آئے گی باہر زینب، روک سکنے کی نہیں پر میرا، روک سکنے کی نہیں پر میرا خنجر زینب، حلق کو آپ کے بے خوف و قطر کاٹوں گا، ایک خنجر سے بہن بھائی کا، ایک خنجر سے بہن بھائی کا سر کاٹوں گا، آئی زہرا کی صدا شمر تو نابینا ہے در پہ زینب نہیں بالی پر مگر زہرا ہے ارے بے رحم خطا میرے پسر کی کیا ہے آستی الٹی ہے کیوں تیرے کو آستی الٹی ہے کیوں تیرے کو کیونکہ کیا اسے پالا تھا میں نے تیرے خنجر کے لیے میرے بچے کو نہ کر ذبح میرے بچے کو نہ کر ذبح پیغمبر کے لیے لعنت اللہ قوم الظالمین. مومنین ایک سورہ فاتحہ کی گزارش ہے. مرحوم سراج حامد علی مرزا، عابدہ گلبانو، حیدر مرزا، کنیز عابد، محمود مرزا، ذوالفقار خان، زہرا خان، علی مظہر مرزا، سید عباس حسین اور آپ کے تمام مرحومین اپنے شامل کر لیجیے گا. اور ہمارے رضوان بھائی کی بھی آج اتفاق سے برسی ہے علی جان کی، ان کے لیے اور تمام ملت جعفریہ کے مرحومین کے لیے سورۃ المبارک الفاتحہ. بسم اللہ. صلوات محمد و آل محمد. Someone. I'm sorry. نہیں میں دیکھا نہیں آپ کو اس لیے بلایا. I thought you don't come. I'm so sorry. I was wondering you got stuck in traffic or something. صلوات محمد و آل محمد. Thank you, Hassan, for filling in, but I'm pleased to see Maulana is already here now, alhamdulillah. Please recite out loud salawat. So today being the last lecture of Brother Zaki Rizvi, alhamdulillah, for the last 5 nights he has been rendering beautiful, very inspirational lectures on Qur'an and community. So on behalf of Al-Noor trustees and all the members, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and thank him for his time and inspirational lectures that he has taken time out. I know it's a busy time for everybody, but it was nice that he was addressing to the youth. I'm sure the elders also have benefited a lot. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept his humble services and reward him amply in this world and the hereafter. May Allah give him tawfiq to continue him to spread the preachings of Ahl Bayt al-Islam in every corner of the world, inshallah. From tomorrow, it will be Syed Muhammad Rizvi. He's going to be rendering 5 lectures on the topic Qur'an and Amir al-Mu'mineen. The program starts at Al-Noor 6:45 sharp with Tilawat Qur'an, followed by short Marsiya, and then the lecture at 7:15 inshallah from tomorrow onwards. Because from tomorrow it's going to be basically the Ayyam is going to start from 18th as well. So there'll be also Nawha and Marsiya proper majalises to commemorate the martyrdom of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. You are requested to please attend all these programs on time inshallah and benefit as much as you can. Before I invite the speaker for tonight, once again I would like to request you to recite Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of tonight's sponsor, Brother Ali Mirza and his family, all the marhumins of him and his family, and also you marhumin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Please welcome Brother Zaki Rizvi with a loud salawat.
الحمد لله الذي إليه مسائر الخلق وواقب الأمر نحمده ولازم إحسانه ونير برهانه ونوام فضل امتنانه حمدا يكون لحقه قضاء ولشكره أداء وعلى ثوابه موجبا ولحسن مزيده مقربا الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين راحة للعاشقين والمراد المشتاقين شمس العارفين والسراج الصالحين نبيه مصباح والعلم صاحب الجود والكرم والله حافظه وجبرائيل خادمه والبراق مرقبه سدرة المنتهى مقامه كعب قوسين محبوب رب المشرقين والمغربين جد الحسن والحسين مولانا ومولاي الثقلين أبي القاسم محمد ثم الصلاة والسلام على جميع أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين المنتخبين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم منكر فضائلهم غاصب حقوقهم ومراتبهم ومنزلتهم ومقامهم من يومنا هذا إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم في قرآنه الكريم وهو أصدق القائلين قوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم ولا تسألون عما كانوا يعملون صدق الله العلي العظيم وعجل فرجهم. We've reached the last lecture in this lecture series of 6 lectures now, including this one, where we're speaking about community and the Qur'an and community. And it's a key topic, it's a key thing that we often overlook, right? Because we have all these different communities and we kind of take them for granted a lot of the time. They're just there, right? We become a part of them without realizing it, and we don't ever appreciate them for what they are. We don't ever realize how great they are or how much of an impact they have on us. And over the past few days, we've looked at a whole different group of things which form into this little topic of Qur'an and community. We started off looking at what communities are and how we find ourselves falling into communities. We then looked at the identities of our communities. We looked at how to build and grow communities. We looked at what a good Islamic community looks like. And today, I want to take it to the last point in this. What are our responsibilities to those different groups that we are part of? Because we have responsibilities, we have rights, and I've been saying this for a while, that oftentimes we make the mistake of teaching Islam as a set of rules and regulations, which it's not. It has rules and regulations, but in and of itself, Islam, it's a blueprint for life. It's a guideline for how to make the most of your life, how to have a good life, how to have a happy life, how to have a life that will be fulfilling for you. That's what Islam is. And sure, like any blueprint, like any guideline, it has rules, it has things that you have to follow. But often we start with the rules and forget all about everything else that comes with Islam, forget about the experience, forget about the emotion, forget about the love. But we should go about it the other way around, surely. We should think about the love, find ourselves falling within that love, and then we have an attraction to those rules. Then we have a reason to follow those rules. So we've looked at all these different things, understood why the community is important, understand why we should commit to it, understand why we should be part of it, and now we come on to those rules, those regulations, those rights and those responsibilities that we have. And we have to realize that we can't escape those, and we can't escape those communities either. Allah Azza wa Jal in the Holy Qur'an, He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Kuntum azwajan thalatha. We placed you in 3 groups. We created you in 3 groups. We put you in 3 groups. What are those 3 groups? He's talking about the Day of Judgment. Allah Azza wa Jal, He's talking about 3 groups. He says the first of those groups is the ones who will be stood to the right of the Arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal, the right of the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal. They are the people who will dwell in heaven, who will receive their book of deeds in their right hand. The second group is who? The second group is those who will be on the left of the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal, the left of the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal, who will be those who will abide in the hellfire. They will have received their book of deeds in their left hand. And the third group is those who will be in front of the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal. Who are they? Those are as-sabiqun, the people who Allah Azza wa Jal has granted His special favour upon. Who are they? The prophets, the a'imma, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, the shuhada. These are the people who are known as as-sabiqun, who will be in front of the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal. And we make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal the way we all wish to be, insha'Allah, on that day in front of the arsh of Allah. All those who are sat today in front of the mimbar of Rasulullah, insha'Allah, we all get to be part of these sabiqun. Now, when we look at this, we understand one thing. The day of judgment is unlike any other day we will have lived, unlike any other moment in our life, unlike any other day in our life. But yet still this one constant remains, that we are set in groups on that day as well. So we realize we can't escape these groups. And there's so many different types of groups that we find ourselves falling into. And like we said on the first day, we fall into them without even realizing it. You have, for instance, your local centre becomes one group for you, be it Al-Noor or Idara or Haydari, wherever it may be. Another group of that is the Muslims. Then you have the Mu'mins. You have other groups. You have, for instance, me, I'm an Arsenal fan. You have football fans and cricket fans. You have tennis fans and table tennis, badminton and volleyball. You have all these different groups that you fall into, and you can't avoid it. It's natural. Why? Because in life, we are set in a way where we are made to be in groups. That's how Allah Azza wa Jal has created us. So if you don't have those groups, you will go searching for them. You will go looking for them. That's in our nature. Now, there's one odd thing about life, particularly in this country and in Western countries in general. And this isn't me speaking. This isn't the ulama speaking. This is scholars of psychology. They say that Western countries, generally speaking, if we make a rough generalization, they're more individualist. Eastern countries are more collectivist. Now, when we look at the core nature of Islam, it says you have individual accountability, yes, but you should live in groups, you should be in groups, you should take advantage of those groups. Allah Azza wa Jal tells us you will be placed in groups constantly throughout your life. He wants us to be together because it has all its benefits, and we've been through all of that. I won't go over it again, but it has its benefits being in these groups. This collectivist society is what we were built for. And to understand the difference between individualism and collectivism, we have to look at what we prefer in life. Where are we falling at the moment? Are we falling in the sphere of people who want to be alone, sphere of people who don't like being around others, who don't like the help and support of others? It's one thing to not like giving help. It's another thing to not like receiving help. You should want to both give and receive that help. That's what collectivism is. That's what being part of something greater is. Luckily, there's no water in that today. We have to realize we have all of these different groups, but like I say, we have rights and responsibilities towards all of them. And if you want to know in depth what those rights and responsibilities are, my fourth Imam, Imam Ali ibn Hussein Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salatu wassalam, Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum, he's detailed them very clearly in his book Risalat al-Huquq. You can go and read that. Today we're going to focus on just 4 groups. 4 groups of people and how we should behave towards them. Groups that we find ourselves in and groups that we cannot avoid. The first of these 4 groups is who? Our family. The second group is our friends. The third group is the Muslims, and the fourth group is the Mu'mineen. You will find yourselves in these groups throughout your life. And we're going to establish, or we're going to look at some of the rights and responsibilities that we have towards each and every one of them. We'll start off with our family. Our family is the first community we will ever know. The first community you'll ever have, the first group of people where you belong. And you'll realize as you get older, you'll go through a period of your life where you might feel a little bit more distant from your family. You might feel a little bit separated from them. You might feel like they don't understand you or you don't understand them. You might feel like you don't want to spend time with them as much. But those of you who are a little bit older will realize that's a phase in your life that comes and it goes. And it's a very normal phase. It happens to most people. But we're still not absolved of those rights and those responsibilities towards our families. Even if you feel a little bit distant towards your family, you wouldn't say that you don't love them. No, maybe you feel a bit distant. You can't have a conversation with them because the things you're thinking about are different to the things they're thinking about. Your wavelengths might not be the same, but you still love them. You still have that. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He tells us in the Qur'an how to behave towards our family. He says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wa bil walidayn ihsana wa bidhil qurba. And do good unto your parents and to your family and to dhil qurba. Now, The first thing to understand here is Allah Azza wa Jal, He separated your family from your parents. Throughout the hadith we see again and again, even amongst the parents there is a divide. How so? Afdal, first and foremost above everyone, is your mother, after that is your father. But your parents, they come first, regardless. And then come your siblings, your partner, your children. But first come your parents. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And do good unto your parents. وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى. Dhil Qurba, now this is a curious one because there's many different tafsirs, many different commentaries, many different translations of who Dhil Qurba means. Who are Qurba? Who are those people who are close to you? What's that referring to? Now we of course have a verse of the Holy Qur'an, I mean everyone has it, but we focus on it particularly where Allah Azza wa Jal refers to the Qurba, those close to you. Which verse is that? Allah Azza wa Jal is addressing our Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajjal farajhum. And he says to him what? قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا مَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. Say, I don't want any reward, any ajr, any praise, any price for what I have done except mawaddata fil qurba, love for those close to me. Now our Holy Prophet was asked, and in fact our Aimma were also asked, to the point where Imam Zainul Abidin, Imam Muhammad Baqir and Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhim salatu wassalam, recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajjal farajhum. They were all asked, who are Dhil Qurba? Who are these people, the close people? And the consensus comes amongst all of them. They are Ali ibn Abi Talib, Fatima al-Zahra, Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein, Sayyid al-Shabab Ahl al-Jannah. We are told that these holy personalities, alayhim salam, are the Qurba. To the point where the Holy Prophet himself was asked, and he gives this response as well. He says, it is these four. Now we understand first and foremost, when Allah Azza wa Jal says to do good unto Dhil Qurba, He means ourselves and our families, of course. There he's speaking about the family of the Holy Prophet, but it reinforces another point which we have mentioned before in the series again, but I'll mention it again. The love that we have for our family, it's the most basic and fundamental love we have. It's an unwavering love, but it's not an unchanging love. Why? Because that love, just like everything else that we love in life, it has to go through the love of Allah Azza wa Jal, His Holy Prophet and His Holy Family. How so? And we spoke about this before, and I'll mention it very briefly again, the same point that I mentioned. We don't realize how much we love for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because you wouldn't think you love your parents for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. You think you'd love them regardless. But, like we said the other day, if your parents or your family were to turn around and say, look, I don't want to be a Muslim anymore. I don't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal anymore. I don't believe in Islam anymore. I don't want to pray. I don't want to do any of these things. All of a sudden, you may still have love in your heart for them, but it won't be the same. There'll be a tinge, there'll be an effect, there'll be an issue with that. And that tells you that there is that element of I love you for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, because when you turned away from Allah Azza wa Jal, it affected the love I have for you. So we do love for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And where we see here, Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى, and do good unto your parents and those close to you. This closeness, it has to come for that qurba of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam as well, but also our families, our close relations. You can extend that as far out or as closely as you wish. Our close relations are those people who we care about because they are our family. We have to do good unto them. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَذِي الْقُرْبَى. If I have to explain what ihsana is, it's going to take a lot more than 25 minutes. I'm sure you guys all know what it means to be good to someone, what it means to be a good person, to take care of them. So I won't dive too much into that. The second of those groups that we mentioned is who? We've spoken about our family. The second is our friends. Allah Azza wa Jal says that on that day of judgment, on the day of Qiyamah, no close friend will ask about one another. What does this mean? What's Allah Azza wa Jal talking about? What does He say? And why is it so much more serious than it seems? On the face of it, they will not ask about each other. That doesn't seem very serious. I go most days in my life without asking about Abbas, but I still consider him to be a close friend. But on that day of judgment, it's a day of stress, it's a day of difficulty, it's a day of pain, it's a day of endurement. Now, this idea of asking about your friends, it's a curious one. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal, He set us up to have that connection with our friends, to have that care for our friends, to have that love for our friends, and you should, right? And you'll have experienced it that For those of you who grew up, well, to be fair, all of you grew up. I was going to say in this country, but it's quite universal. As you grow up, if you go to school one day and whoever your closest friend is, if they're not there, the teacher often will ask you, oh, where's so-and-so? Like, you're meant to know. Like, I'm not his dad, I don't know. That was always my thought. But they expect you to know. Why? Because you care about them. You will have asked about them. You'll have spoken to them. You're expected to know about them, right? Even though you don't live with them, you don't come to school with them, you don't have any other relation to them other than that you're friends. But your teachers expect you to know where they are if they're not there. Because friends ask about each other. Friends care about each other. Friends look out for each other. See, we spoke earlier about the rights in that we have to do good unto our parents. Here, I'm taking a slightly different approach. Here, Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, on the day of judgment, your friends are completely useless to you. On the day of judgment, they won't even care about you. You will be a stranger to them. They have no worry about what's happening to you because they're too concerned with themselves. I said it a few days ago, and it's something that often, when I say, people think of it as very cynical. But it's fact and it's true. Friendships have to be functional. You have to be getting something from your friendship to consider it a true friendship. I'll give you guys an example. Me and a few of my friends, I mean, you're all familiar with the area. We're all from Tooting. Well, there and thereabouts. And everyone who's been to Dar is familiar with chicks. We spent about 10, 15 years of our lives constantly going to chicks, never once considering this is terrible for us, right? Not only is it not great food, but it's also very unhealthy. And my friends, mashallah, they're, as we say, healthy. At no point did we consider, let's eat a little better. At no point did we consider, let's do a little better. Why? Because that level of care wasn't there. That level of thought for each other wasn't there. As you grow older, you start to care about more things. You start to see more things that you can care about, right? But if you don't have that drive to improve each other, if you don't have a feeling of bringing each other up, then what are you doing for each other? How are you helping each other? What is that friendship worth to you, right? Because everything in life has a value, right? Everything in life has a price, what's the value of that friendship if it's not doing anything good for you? If you're not doing anything good for your friends? Your friendships have to be functional. You have to look at them in that way. Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us here, look, on that day of judgment, your friendships are useless. They're not going to help you at all. What does this tell us? Islam doesn't say don't have friends. No, what it says is make the most of your friends. When you have the opportunity. That's this life. So don't waste the chance in this life to be close with your friends, to support them, to take care of them in whichever way they need and whichever way you can offer. To be a good friend is one of the greatest things you can be in this life. But just remember, once this life ends, that opportunity goes. You won't be able to help them on the day of judgment. So help them here. And there's a key point here, right? You won't be able to help them on the day of judgment, so help them here. What kind of help do they need on the day of judgment? They need guidance. They need good deeds. They need to be away from sin. You can't help them with that there, but you can help them with that here. How often do we have friends who are so casually doing things that we know they shouldn't be? How often do we have friends who are so casually doing things that are against the religion of Islam? Forget the religion of Islam for a moment. They are against ethics and principles and morals. Guide your friends. That's what it means to be a good friend. Support them. Help them. This is the second group, our friends. We have a responsibility towards our friends to guide them, to support them. And I say guide them, and I'm speaking about Islam here, but it's not just explicitly Islamic things that we have to help them with in all aspects of life. That's what true friends are for. That's what close friends are for. That's your responsibility towards your friends. The third is your responsibility towards the Muslims, the Muslim Ummah, the Muslim nation. I'll repeat an ayah of the Qur'an which I spoke about the day before yesterday, I think it was. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says what? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Kuntum ukhrijat lin-nas. You are the greatest. You are the greatest nation amongst all of mankind. Who's He speaking to? The Muslims. Why? تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. Allah Azza wa Jal, look at the order He said this in. What has He said here first and foremost? You do amr bil ma'roof, you encourage good, وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, and you discourage bad. وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ, and you believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. Surely that belief in Allah Azza wa Jal has to come first before anything else. Surely that has to be the most important thing. Allah Azza wa Jal here, He places it last. First He says, you encourage good. That's the first thing we're talking about. You encourage good. And then He says you discourage bad. And lastly, you believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. That belief, surely that comes first before anything else. But no, here it comes last in the order. Why? What's Allah Azza wa Jal telling us here? What's He teaching us here? What's He showing us here? We have to look beyond just the words that are in front of us. Allah Azza wa Jal here is reminding you, look, many people will believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. Many people will accept there is only one God. Many people will accept Muhammad is His messenger. There are 124,000 prophets. They will accept. They will bring Iman. They will bring Iman on the A'imma as well. But in everything in life, every single thing, every wealth you have, there is a tax to give. In the same way that we are taxed on our wealth in income tax and national insurance, and for those of you who got student loan, you guys know all of them. I'm sure you've read your payslip enough times. You've got all of those taxes. Then Islamically, you've got your khums, you've got your zakat, you've got sadaqat. The same way, the tax on good deeds is to encourage others to do it. The tax on avoiding bad deeds is to discourage others from those. The tax on knowledge is to spread that knowledge. Everything you have, you must give a portion back. In the same way, Allah Azza wa Jal here is telling you, look, there will be loads of people who will be Muslims. There will be loads of people who will be mu'mins. If you want to separate yourself from them, if you want to gain a higher level, a higher ground, then you have to encourage other people towards it as well. You have to bring other people towards it as well. And if that's not enough encouragement, I'll mention one quick, I can't remember off the top of my head if it's a hadith or a verse of the Holy Qur'an, but we are told that those who bring somebody else to the path of Allah Azza wa Jal, somebody who converts somebody else or brings them to the path of Islam, what's the reward for them? Allah Azza wa Jal, of course, there's many thawabs, there's many things, there's many great things that you get. One very particular reward that is mentioned. On the day of Qiyamah, they will be given the power of shifa. They will be allowed to bring somebody into heaven who might not have made it otherwise. Imagine what a great sa'adah that is. Imagine what a great status that is. And this comes from what? Amr bil ma'roof, nahiyan al munkar. Allah Azza wa Jal is telling you, if you want to be amongst the best of the best, then make other people around you better. It's the same concept we had for friendship. It applies to your family as well. If you want to be the best of the best, make everyone around you better. And lastly, we have the mu'mineen, the believers, those who have faith in Allah Azza wa Jal to a higher degree. Allah Azza wa Jal says about them what? In the Holy Qur'an, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Innamul mu'minuna ikhwa. Verily the mu'mineen, the believers are brothers. Now, your relationship with your brothers is very odd, because you will fight, you will scrap, you will absolutely punch each other as much as you can, you will do as much as you can, you will hate them, but you still love them. As much as you try and deny it, you still love them. You have that love for them in your heart. And it's one of those weird things where with your brother, the way it should be at the very least, is that love, no matter how much it decreases, it's always there to some extent. It's always simmering there inside you. You might have issues with your brother. You might go against them. You might have a fight with them. You might have an argument with them. It might be something small. It might be something major. But at the same time, you never want to think that you don't have love for them. And you can see that love in the care that you have, right? You might feel like you don't care about them so much anymore, but just wait till the moment, na'udhu billah, something happens to them. Wait till the moment where they're going through something difficult. Immediately you'll think of them. And that brotherly love, that doesn't die down. That doesn't leave you. That's the same way the mu'mineen should be. That's the same way they have to be. The mu'mineen as a nation, you'll have arguments with other mu'mineen, other believers. You'll have issues with them. You'll have problems. You'll have disagreements. Like with your brothers. They might be minor, they might be major. But at the end of the day, you have to always remember the relationship there has to be like this, like brothers. Because you are one nation, you are one people, you are one body, one beating heart, and that is what makes you the greatest nation. That is what makes you part of that nation which Allah Azza wa Jal says are the greatest. And again, last words before I wrap up. When we realize that we have an Imam waiting for us, like I said before, he's waiting for what? We hear it again and again, the 313, the 313. Who are they? The 313 are those people who will lead his army. 313 leaders of his army. Now, do you think that out of 8 billion people, 313 get chosen to lead the army? Do you think they're not going to be the best of the best in every aspect? Do you think they're not going to be the absolute top in every aspect, not just in salah, not just in sawm, but whatever it is they do professionally, they have to be the best of the best. Your responsibility amongst all of these communities we've spoken about, finally your responsibility to yourself is to be the absolute best you can. To achieve as much as you can, to surpass every expectation that even you had of yourself. That's your responsibility to yourself. We have responsibilities and rights all across the board. The reason for that is it not only protects us, but it keeps that love amongst us. That love drives us to improve each other. That love drives us to be better ourselves. That love drives us closer and closer to the one thing we all want, which is nearness to Allah Azza wa Jal. For He loves us more than any of us can love each other, more than any of us can love ourselves. So if you develop that love within yourself, then you will find yourself loving Allah Azza wa Jal more so than you could ever have imagined. And that comes from following these rights and these responsibilities. And with that, I've got an eye on the time. The time is up for today. Alhamdulillah. As far as I'm concerned, it's been a good few days. You guys might have a different opinion, but I'd like to think, even if we didn't learn something, we realized something. We're smarter than we give ourselves credit for. Sometimes we just have to uncover the things in our mind. Inshallah, we continue to learn like this throughout the month of Ramadan and after as well. We raise our hands in dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. Oh Allah, for all those mu'mineen around the world who are suffering from ill health, grant them complete shifa. Oh Allah, for all those marhumeen who were amongst our ranks and have now left us, grant them a place amongst the highest levels of Jannah. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Allow us to be amongst those who stand alongside him and who enter Jannah under his banner. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع الدعاء.